Hi, John. Good morning.
Hello, sir.
Hi. So, where can I see the submissions? Are those in Canvas or in Teams?
It's on the canvas, sir.
Okay, okay,
The final exam for the Python. I
okay.
already checked it yesterday, and I think they have provided sufficient
Correct answer. Okay,
information. Yes, on all of the details that you're asking.
okay. How about
It is
the one on
mostly
statistics?
it is mostly descriptive statistics, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Python exam.
How about the one on statistics?
The one on statistics, they run with a lot of trouble, so I decided to adjust the deadline. I'm not
Okay,
yet
okay.
opening it.
I see, I see. I'm on it now. Okay, I see it. But I don't see any submissions here. Should I see it in the people section or?
You
Hmm.
need to go to the grades, and then there's a triple dot, and then you need to click download submissions. It will be
I see.
downloaded as a folder.
Yeah, yeah, got it, got it. Thanks, John. Okay, so I see. Hmm.
Three notebooks for each of them.
Okay, okay. Grades and then dots. Yeah. Hmm. Hi, Asiba. Welcome to the meeting.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm
How was the
doing
exam?
good, but very stressful because of exam. Uh I told John that it was out of my limit.
Okay.
But I don't
Uh,
know if you guys check my work if
have you submitted in Canvas?
yeah, I did. I'm very
Oh,
stressed,
okay.
honestly.
It's normal
It's normal
because
because
I made that
I made that
exam to be
exam to be
extremely
extremely
challenging.
challenging.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I know I didn't it's not perfectly, but I
Hmm.
hope I could do like 60%.
Yeah, yeah. I'm flexible in terms of grading, so don't worry about that. What I want to see there is you exerted effort, right? So I can see
Yeah,
the flow that you did in your submission, and if I see that you really exerted effort, and it's good to me. I mean, I just wanted to give you that taste of what it looks like to be an analyst because those are the things that you would encounter in actual work, especially with consultancy. When you join a company, you have a team of
yeah,
analysts, so you can work with
hmm,
each other. However, when you do things like me, I do things on my own because I'm
yeah,
doing consultancy work. I have to figure it out myself. I have to figure out everything on myself. So that's the challenge when you do consultancy work as
yeah,
compared to when you join a company. Because when you join a company, you have like 3 or 4 people in there that you can ask, hey, how do you do this? Do you have any idea of doing of figuring this out? But you don't have that luxury when you do consultancy work. You'll be the one to research things. So at least you know by now what would be your expectations, what would be the typical thing that you would do, either if you work with a company or do a consultancy work. So
I
that's
would
how
really
you.
appreciate, sorry, I would really appreciate if I would have um, a, a sample of this work.
Sure, sure. That's
If
actually a
you have
software.
it, yeah,
Yeah, I have the solution because that data
yeah,
set that you have, that is actually from my client. I adjusted some of the things in there, of course, just to preserve the anonymity and to preserve
yeah.
the integrity of the data. But yeah, that kind of data, well, that exact data was from my client, so it's already something that I've done. If I can remember it correctly, I did it for 1.5 days.
Mm-hmm.
um, so I invested that much time working there. But of course, I have other tools that I used. I have a bit of idea, already a structured idea on how to do it. That's why I made it way faster. So since you're just starting, so you're just figuring things out, that's why it would really take you longer time. So as you build on
I
this,
work like around 4 days.
mm,
Like I'm not working, I'm at home, so I would just keep the kids busy and I would sit on my computer and working on it.
did you
Yeah,
encounter stops like it was so frustrating that you have to stop for a while and then rest for a bit and then go back
yeah, then you
again?
have to run everything again because
Exactly.
yeah,
That's one of
so
the problems. That's one of the
yeah,
challenges that you would really encounter, especially when you're stuck on something. So you're really frustrated. This will, just like I told you before, there will be times that you just want to punch the monitor of your computer. You just want to
yeah,
punch your laptop because it's really frustrating. And in those times, you need to have those um you need to have the ability to sort of relax yourself. Okay,
mhm,
try to identify, like, for example, in 5 minutes, cool down a bit, because the data sets are unique, especially if it's coming from different fields. So you really need to develop that um, resiliency. Okay, that resiliency, because you will encounter it every now and then.
yes,
Yep. And you need to decompose the problem. Like, you're stuck with something, it's really frustrating, and you know that if you just pursue, you won't really produce a good result. So the first thing
yeah,
that you have to do is, okay, I'm gonna step back a little bit, try to get some rest, make sure that I return um from my I should say neutral status. Because as your emotions fluctuate, like for example, you're very happy or very sad, the decisions that you would make would be terrible, right? If you decide on things when you're very happy, it could result to a terrible output. And it's the same or even worse if you're angry or if you're frustrated. So the best thing is to rest for a while. Make sure that you return to your neutral status, to your neutral state of mind before you go back to working. Because if you're not relaxed, again, this is a mental exercise, right? Being an analyst, it always requires your mental resiliency, your focus. So if you're not relaxed, how can you think creatively? How can you analyze problems effectively? So it's always important to evaluate yourself. Okay, try to work on a thing once you are in your neutral state of mind. Hi, Grace.
yeah.
Welcome to the meeting. We're just talking about the exam, this last exam that you did.
Hello, good evening.
Yep.
Yeah, I could tell because I didn't even hear the question and I already agreed with the sentiment.
Yeah, that's something that you would get when you do a consultancy work. And we were talking about when you work for a company, you have a team, and it's easy for you to clarify things with them, try to get their viewpoint about something. Maybe they experienced working on a similar project before. That's one of the advantage of working with a company because you have that luxury, that um team to work with you. However, if you do consultancy work, you need to figure out everything by yourself. So that's the challenge. And I gave you that experience because that data I edited it a bit just to preserve the confidentiality of it. But that's what you can expect from a consultancy work. You need to figure out everything, and things could be really stressful. That's why I told Asiba earlier, when you get stopped by something and you're not on your neutral state of mind, it's very difficult to think, right? So
Yeah,
you need to
it
develop
was
that
very like
ability.
overwhelming. I felt every
Exactly.
time I would try to come back to it still.
That's what you would feel in actual work, like especially when you're working with a very large project. Even touching your keyboard
Laptop.
feels heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels very
Yeah.
heavy, and I understand it. And I wanted really to let you feel that. It's kind of tough love because, of course, I don't want you to hate me, but I realized that I wanted to give you that experience of what it really feels like to be in this field. So yeah, I think you've already felt that. Like even touching your keyboard is really heavy, and it has this like frustrating feeling, right? And how are you
Right.
able to overcome it, Grace?
I didn't even turn it in time. That's how much breaks I needed. It was like I was like, okay, this is the test I need to do. This is what I need to do prior to the test. Why
Mm,
isn't this code working? Why can't you just tell me instead of telling me in this computer ease? And then like trying to still sit through that, and
mm,
then okay, I just need to manipulate the data once more.
mm.
Oh my gosh.
You became very objective, right? It has been very clear to you what you want to do, and you did it piece by piece, right?
Yeah,
Because if you
except
think about
maybe
everything in just once, it's very overwhelming, right? It's very overwhelming. The amount of task that you need to do, right? That you need to generate from that data set. It's not it's that data set contains like 40 different variables, and it only has 80 respondents. So imagine what could happen if you have hundreds of thousands, right? If you have that size. And sometimes I just had a discussion with this person from New York. They are running this marketing analytics, and they asked me to reshape their data set. It contains like 300,000 data set. So I think with Power BI, I would let you experience that size of the data set, but I don't want to really bombard you with statistics during the statistics part, giving you this tons of variables and then tons of observations. I think those number of observations that you did during the statistics exam is more than enough to have you to give you that feel, okay, of what it feels like to do consultancy work. So yep, the good thing is with Power BI, everything is procedural. Okay, everything is procedural, and you need more creativity with Power BI. If you know how to to narrate a story well using data, then this would be an easy section for you. And in general, I
why I'm
find
still here.
yeah, I
Sorry.
find Power BI to be um generally easier as compared to the previous topics. This is based on my previous cohorts. So this would be a treat for you overcoming all of this exams and exercises and projects, Power BI is definitely easier. Okay, definitely way easier than those. So let me share my screen and let's start the discussion. Um, yeah, maybe before that, I may want to show you some of the dashboards that I created. I'll be showing you two dashboards for the company. Um, let me see. So again, there's this caveat here that I shouldn't say caveat, but I'm not the most creative person. Okay, creativity is probably um, not my thing, but I just focus on the most important aspects of the data and highlight that in my dashboard. So um, let me just load it for a while. So I'll just maybe look into a certain section of this um, so that I won't spill any information that is not really um, okay. So this is a dashboard that I created for Skillspire. Again, this is just one section of it. Okay. Because some information here, the totality is a bit sensitive, so I may want to hide those. So this dashboard highlights the completion rate, the failure rate, the composition of the students, what is the employment rate, and what are the programs, and which of those programs are more or where are the students enrolling the most. So this is a simple one. Again, you can enhance this further. I mean, I've seen uh, very creative dashboards. I can replicate those, but I would be investing so much time. But for me, my personal take in creating a dashboard is you just need to focus on the important things that would help the company decide. So again, this is not the actual data set. Okay, just to just for some clarity. The good thing with Power BI is, as you can see, it's very interactive. As you click on the visualizations, everything changes. Okay, it's not the same as with Microsoft Excel, in which it seems like every visualization that you create from the same data set is, well, they're somewhat disconnected from each other. But here, when you place it um, in a canvas in Power BI, everything changes depending on what you view on a certain visualization. Like for example, this one, I'm looking at the employment. If I click on those that are not employed, for example, it shows, okay, where are those unemployed coming from in terms of the program? This is just linear, that most of the students are from full stack web development, and so most of the students that would not be well, and characteristics associated with students would be coming most from the full stack web program, and so on. So another dashboard that I created is the marketing dashboard. So this dashboard shows like the weekly budget and so on. Again, the data set is not the actual data set. So these are just some of the dashboard that I created in the past that I'll be showing to you some of the outputs that my student in the past was able to come up with. Now let me show another one. An example that I did for the class. Um, this is using the data set. If you can remember the Superstore. Let me just see. Where did I save this? Superstore. Okay. So the good thing with Power BI is it's a point and click software. So you don't necessarily need to code, but if you want to create more complex measures, we will talk about the things or variables, then you need to have um, you need to have where is it? Am I still sharing? Can you see it? I'm not sure if I just reshared. I wasn't sure earlier if I'm sharing. Can you see my screen? Okay, okay. So this is an example using the Superstore data set. So couple of slicers here in terms of education, in terms of marital status, and so on. So you can do this different filters in your data set that would also show in your dashboard. So by the end of this Power BI section, you'll be able to do the same or even much better. It depends on your creativity. It also depends on how much time you would be investing in creating your dashboard. But I'll be highlighting some things that should appear in your dashboard, and that's part of our discussion. What are the things that you need to avoid? What are the things that your dashboard must contain? And what are the things that you can do with Power BI? Of course, when we are working with a new software, it is quite different to navigate, right? So that's what I'll be doing for the first few sessions, maybe today until probably Saturday. That is to um, make you familiar with the navigation in Power BI. What are these buttons doing, and what are the tabs and the buttons that you would usually use? Because some of this similar with any Microsoft Office product. By the way, Power BI is a Microsoft product. There are so many buttons and there are so many tabs that you don't usually use. So, like for example, in Microsoft Word and Excel, there are so many replications of the buttons. Like when you do a right click, right, you can find those options even in the ribbon. So somehow it's kind of overwhelming if you're starting seeing these different buttons, and you would think that there will be this assumptions that you need to understand everything, but in reality it's not, and you know that very well, being able to use Microsoft Excel and also um, Microsoft Word. You don't necessarily need to know all of those buttons, right? But I'll be focusing with data manipulation using Power Query Editor. That's one of our focus. Um, Editing your visualization, applying some filters, and I'll be discussing some basic data analytics expression. Data analytics expression is using codes. Yes, using codes in Power BI. How would you create more complex filters, more complex measures and variables? So I will not be going through the complex ones because usually those would be context specific. So the thing that I want to share to you, make you knowledgeable of, is how to insert codes, because you can easily, again, you can, depending on the need, you can go through Stack Overflow or even use Chat GPT in looking for a structure for that thing that you want to do. But you need to first know how can you input those codes in Power BI. So we'll be looking into that. But all of the fundamentals would be discussed in the 2 weeks almost that we have. So I'll make sure that everything that you need in order for you to be efficient in working with Power BI would be discussed. And aside from that, how can we connect? So this dashboard that I showed you earlier, all those are getting live data. So there's a spreadsheet that is connected to that live, so that when I refresh the data set, when I refresh the dashboard, it would be updated automatically. So that's something that Microsoft Excel can't give you, right? So in Microsoft Excel, if you're working with tons of tables, you have to update it, all of them manually in order for you to have an updated list of charts. But in Power BI, all of them would be automatically updated once you refresh the data. So I have in my team, aside from the product, I'm also doing the data analysis with Skillspire. So like for example, with marketing analytics, whenever our marketing guy updates the marketing report, I'll just refresh my dashboard and I'll have this overview of how we are progressing with our marketing, how many leads are coming in, what is our conversion rate, what is our um, customer acquisition cost, those kinds of things. And it allows me to give this recommendations to the core team. Like I can call their attention that okay, this particular week we had significantly less number of leads as compared to the previous, and I can compare that quarter by quarter or year by year. In that way, I'm giving Yasmin, the CEO, that ability to have a database decision. So it's not only that the decision is not only based on her emotion or what she feels right, but it's always based on the data. So that's the value that I give to the company. So not only about the product, but also the data. So that's what you can do with business intelligence. The decisions by the company would be based on the information that you'll be supplying them. So um, let me show you some of the um, outputs. I think I have one in here from the cohort, two cohorts before you. Let me see. So your, of course, your output in Power BI would be a dashboard. That would be a dashboard. And then I'll be giving a final exam that would span across all the tools that we've that we have covered in this class. Um, let me see. I think this one would be good. And as you can see, there's also Copilot here. So that's the trend that you will see. All of the software will be incorporating artificial intelligence. It's just a start. So don't develop that repulsion with artificial intelligence. It's just futile to have that repulsion with artificial intelligence. It's just futile. So yep. So this is one output from my previous student, and this is nice because as you can see, it highlights all the information that we need. So this data set is I think a manufacturing sales report, and so she presented it. So that would be your part of your final exam. So it would be a live presentation highlighting the things in your dashboard, and you need to defend why did you choose a particular visualization. So the good thing with Power BI is you're not limited to the visualizations that you have in here. You can actually add. So you can get more visuals. You can develop your own if you have that expertise in developing your own visualization. But here you have so many options that you can add depending on your need. Again, this is depending on the context, right? Depending on the problem, depending on the data set that you have. So this is not a one size fits all thing. So you need to be careful. It is not just it's working, then you will be using it, but make sure that it's valid to be used in with a specific format or specific visualization. So there are tons of different visualizations here. That would be depending on your data set and your goal. So
Excuse me.
yep, Hasiba.
How can I access to Power BI?
Power BI.
Is
Yes,
it
so we'll be talking
Microsoft?
about it. Yes, it's free.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
free, don't worry. So that will be
Okay.
part of our discussion today. Downloading
Okay.
Power BI and then um, installing it in your computer. Anyone here using Mac?
No, not me.
Jeff, Grace, Asiva is not using Mac. Unfortunately, I have a bad news for you.
No, I no, I don't
Okay,
have
okay,
Mac.
that's good. Because if you're using Mac, then that's a problem. Why? Power BI doesn't support Mac, or Mac doesn't support Power BI. But there's a workaround. The workaround is you need to install Windows in your Mac through a virtual machine. But it's a ton of work. It's not difficult, it's not complicated, but it's another layer of work. So I think Jeff is not responding. I think Jeff is still at work, but if I can remember it correctly, Jeff is using Windows. So it's a good thing that all of us here are Windows people. Okay. I tried using Mac. I borrowed once a MacBook Air, but the controls are quite different. I had a hang of it like after a couple of hours, but I still feel more efficient with Windows. I've just gotten so used to it that it feels so natural. So I'm not seeing myself using Mac in the future. So anyway, let's talk about how can we install Power BI. So the easiest way is to go to Microsoft Store and look for Power BI there. So Power BI is a freeware. At least with most of its functionality, uh, you can use it in its free version. But there's also a paid version for um, for more functionalities. But we don't need those. Okay, we don't need those. So the free version is sufficient for us. So once you go to Microsoft Store, search Power BI, specifically Power BI Desktop. So there is a Power BI report builder. It has limited functionality. There's also Power BI Online that is specifically designed for publishing dashboards. So I don't advise you to use that, either of the report builder or the what do you call this, the online version, because those two have limited functionalities. The one with the full functionality is the one that is desktop. So this is around, I think, 2 GB size, if I can remember it correctly. Um, it doesn't show here, but if I can remember it correctly, it's 2 GB. And one thing with Power BI is it eats so
Sorry,
much
Jeff. Did you say
resources.
it's the report builder or the desktop?
The desktop, Jeff, is the one that you need to
Okay.
download. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yep. So, um, yeah, where was I? So, yeah, this Power BI desktop has all the functionalities that we need. And aside from that, um, yeah, it eats so much. But the downside of Power BI is it eats so much resources. So if you have an old computer, then that would be a problem because it would freeze your computer. It eats so much RAM. So even if your computer is like at least i3, if you have tons of applications open or tons of apps or um, um, how do you call that? Tabs. If you have tons of tabs that are open, it would still freeze your computer. So make sure that you close the other applications. Uh, let me see the chat box. Will probably make you want to do violent things to your computer. Yeah, especially if you'll be handling a large data set, then it would pile up in terms of resources needs. So I don't advise you to use it with other applications that requires high resources, such as video editors or even games. Some games are um, highly demanding in terms of memory. So just a warning that it could turn your computer into a blue screen or something. So yep, once you've downloaded this, please let me know. So I suggest you do it now so that you can follow me later once I navigate through the different buttons that you can find in there. There's so many cool features of Power BI. I once connected my Power BI to my emails so that I can see my emails in a dashboard. But you have to share your credentials with Power BI. It works even with like Gmail or Outlook, so you can organize it. Um, there would be some specific reasons why you want to do that. You can filter your emails and, like for example, um, do an analytics on how many email classifications or what is the distribution of the emails that you are receiving. It could be that maybe 50% are coming from your company or maybe more, and so on. And yeah, it's just a nice thing that you can do that. You can also create heat maps, like what I did for the marketing group of our company. We identified like where are the students coming from. The school is situated in Washington, but we were able to accommodate students coming from all the different states of the U.S. So that allows us to have a glimpse of, okay, where can we um, for example, establish another physical office? Is it something that would be viable in terms of um, the business side and so on? So just give me a thumbs up if you were able to download it or install it. There's a possibility that you would encounter errors, so please let me know. I'll just open my AC. Give me a sec. So some announcements while you're installing your Power BI. So we only have until August 7th. So as early as Saturday next week, I'll be Saturday, this coming Saturday, I'll be sending you um the final exam. The final exam uh comprehensive that requires all of the software that we talked about. And maybe with Power BI, hmm, I'm thinking of giving you until 7 to complete it, and maybe we can week quickly on maybe Friday. But let me see. Maybe we can squeeze it up. I think we can cover everything until Tuesday or Monday next week your time. Don't be confused. This is Philippine time, so it's already uh July 30 my time. So maybe uh August 6th or Monday your time. So I'm thinking about. I'll post an announcement regarding this. Okay. So any updates? Are you done with the installation?
I
Jeff,
think
I'm
I
still
did.
at work, so I cannot
Yep.
download.
Okay, Grace. Thanks for letting me know. I figured it out. How about Hasiba
Yeah,
and Jeff?
actually, it's the same thing for me, except like
Okay.
I think of my work. My works. We have our
Okay,
own
okay.
system that we have our own system downloading, but I think it doesn't immediately uh, download for me. It's
Download.
a place to
Hmm.
request, and they're gonna send it to me once they're allowing it to
Oh,
install.
okay. That's interesting. I haven't received that kind of like a
Oh no, it's because
request.
like because like Power BI is a software that I think we use here too. So like it's like
Oh, okay.
it's like the the
I
Microsoft
see. I
Store,
see.
but then it's our works version of the Microsoft Store that just has a
I
bunch
see.
of
I see.
software in there, but you
Cool.
request that
Cool.
you want to
Cool.
have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Figured that.
I would be like that for my work desktop too. Like I could use Power BI,
Mm.
but
You have to
they
request it,
they don't
right?
let us download anything, so
Oh.
for safety. So
Yeah. 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 Yep. Thanks for letting me know. So here's the thing. Once you get the approval, you can during the lab session with John, you can somehow redo a recapitulation of this navigation discussion that I'll do, in case you forget something. Because I feel that it's very easy to forget if you will not follow me during the navigation. But still, um, I think you have sufficient time to do a recapitulation during the lab session. How about Hasiba? Hasiba, do you have it?
Yeah, I downloaded.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So, yep, once you open it, this is what you will see. Let me just close this one for a while. So let's start with a blank Power BI canvas. Just just give me a second.
Yeah, I see this page.
Okay, awesome,
Yeah.
cool. So um yeah. So once you open Power BI, you would see this landing page. So you would see this data source. We'll be talking about this data source inside actual Power BI once we start a new blank canvas. Although there's an option here to get the data from different sources. Like with blank report, this is the typical starting point that we do. If you click that, it would open a blank canvas. Okay, without anything, without the data, nothing. Okay, so it's a good starting point. It's a good starting point. One Lake Data Hub. Um, I've actually not never tried this before. I think it requires a subscription or something. So what I've tried before were Excel and SQL, but typically most of the time that we will be working is with SQL, or rather Excel workbook. But you can definitely connect SQL Server either through DB browser or even the Microsoft one, the MySQL. So you can connect those. Um, where was it? You can connect those to this so that it would um, get those data from those sources. Okay, but first, let me see. So there are these recommendations because I've used Power BI for some quite time now. So you see these recommendations here. But if it's the first time that you downloaded Power BI, then I don't think that you will have this recommendation. So you also have here like your previous files. And there are options here at the right portion. You have the home. You have the open. So those typical things. Um, when you click open, so it would open a window that would allow you to look for files in your local device. And you can also sign out your account. So currently I'm signed in with my work email. There are options and settings. So for example, this option right here, it would open the black canvas. Okay. So there are options here. Hmm, let me think. Let me think of things that I used before here. Hmm, can think of any things that would really require you to look for or do something here. Hmm. Yeah, but if the need arises, then at least you know where to look at it. But personally, I haven't gone through something that would require me to go to this option window, at least from what I can remember. Yeah. So yep, there also this about tab that you would see your version, your session ID and user ID. Um, Let me think of a use for this. Yeah, the version is something that you really need to know. Um, let me think. Yeah, I think after the update of July 2017, it's just about the data model. I think the afterwards is just about the GUI that's there that were updated and some additional functionalities, but they're almost the same afterwards. After July 17th, June of July 7th, 2017. So yeah, so at least you know where to look for the version of your Power BI. Now we start with blank report. So when you click on that, you'll be given this blank canvas, right? The similar a similar window such as this. So you have, let's start with the right side. So you have the data here. So as you can see, we don't have any data. You have the visualization here. So you can format your report page here on this button and add certain visualization. So we cannot do that now because we don't have any data. So once you click on that, as you can see, it's just drag and drop. You can also do that by clicking. So it's very easy. You don't have to code anything to create the visualizations that you want. And you have the filters right here. And you can create this filter using a slicer. So there's a slicer option. We'll be talking about this in detail and through examples. But you have a dedicated section, a dedicated a place wherein you can do filters. Typically, the filters are really indispensable when you have a dashboard. So you can find here different types of bar charts, vertical and horizontal ones. You can see line chart here. I mean, for the line chart, the good old one is already sufficient, but others made it fancy. They added some elements to it. But again, you know me, I'm more into um, the core side of things. So for me, I'm okay with this default line chart. But again, you can look for a more a fancier one. When you click on the get more visual, you can click on the search right here and just put line, and you can find line charts here that are fancier as compared to the default ones. And you have the area chart, and some other different charts, a combination chart, line and stacked. You have a ribbon chart here. With the ribbon chart, instead of a ribbon chart, I may want to do a Sankey diagram instead. So this kind of chart, maybe you have seen it, but you don't know how to call it Sankey. So this is the Sankey diagram. If your data is multi-layer, then it's better to use Sankey diagram. You can just click on it, and if you do that, then it would be added to your visualization options list. Let's just wait for it to finish. Yeah, click add after this page has been shown, and you would see it at the bottom. So the visuals that you add from this get more visuals tab would be placed in here. So it is separated from the default ones. And you have here the funnel if you want to see. This is like a Pareto diagram, like the proportion of each category versus the totality. So more of a comparison for the different categories. And the good old scatter chart, that we did with Microsoft Excel and also with Python. If you want to see the relationship between at least two variables, then a scatter chart would be very effective. And also with pie chart, so the um, well, there are some instances in which you would be choosing funnel diagram as compared to or over pie chart. So if you want to highlight or if you want to place the distributions from the largest to the lowest, then it's easier to visualize that using a funnel diagram as compared to a pie chart. So, but still, pie chart and the donut charts are the OGs of visualizations, right? But again, they are limited. So if you have more than 5 categories, then I don't suggest you to do pie chart because oftentimes it gets very convoluted. Very if it contains so many categories, then it's quite difficult to visualize things. So it's not very effective if you have tons of categories. So I don't suggest it when you go over 5 categories. As compared to imagine if you have more categories and you put it in a final diagram that even you go more than 5, maybe 8 or 10, then it's still easy to visualize because it's arranged in an ascending order, and it's not very convoluting as compared to um, a pie chart or even a donut chart. So the pie chart and the donut charts, they're comparable. So it's just a difference of styles, but the type of data that they are um, using are both the same. And then you have here the tree map. So the tree map is also similar to a funnel chart. So it's like a you would want to show the composition of the categories, which categories are the largest, and which categories are the smallest. And you of course have this map. So if you are if your company is operating in different locations across the globe, then it's good to visualize it in a map. But this map right here, this default is something that I don't like. I typically use this field map as compared to this because with the field map it highlights this different location depending on the tag of your observations of your data set. So for example, imagine that your observations has a tag in terms of state in the US. So it would show those subdivisions in the US map based on the states. So even if, for example, you have observations there that are well coming from different countries without states, it would be able to show it there. You can you can navigate through it. You can drag and scroll it. It doesn't show here because I don't have data set, but um, in the next few sessions, we'll see what I meant by moving the maps, okay, or the map um, when you have observations coming from different country or different continent. And you have their Azure map. This is something that I haven't used before, so I'm not sure about the difference of this with the other. But you can also get more advanced, fancier map visuals in this get more visual. So this is one that I used before. This is this heat map right here. This is very effective if you want to show the amount of observations uh, per location. So instead of a number, what it does is it changes the U, or is it the U? Is it the correct term for that? Um, the deepness of the color. I think it's a correct term, right? The U. Yeah, this is the hue of the color. So whenever like a certain location has more number of observations, then it gets a deeper color. So you can try using that, and I suggest using that as compared to the default ones because the default ones are just very simple. So this one is way better. This is typically what you would find, like for example, during the reporting of COVID cases. This is most likely the one that they are using. So you can add the rollers in there. you can add like values changing across time. Like for example, from day one to day one of the announcement of the COVID-19 pandemic up to today, you can do that, and then you can look into a specific timeline and see how the severity um, how severity is from different timelines. So this is very good. Um, I think this is also the one that they're using in temperatures, but they can make it more specific to a location, like in a level of state that is easier to visualize as compared to something that looks like this. But this is very good. This is really something that you would typically use when you have a data set that has a location tag. And then you have here gauge. Gauge chart is if you have a target and you want to know the status, the current status relative to the target. So this is a very useful chart. So for example, you have a target number of leads, the target amount of revenue, target amount of profit. Then organizations and um, leaders would likely want to see it, right? What is your status, and is is your distance from the target still far, or is it something that is the target something that can be achieved with a given amount of time that you have, or you need to do further re-strategizing, or you need to do something different from what you're currently doing in order to hit it, right? So most organizations use that because businesses, they're always monitoring their their revenues, their profit, their sales. So that's something that is always present in a typical dashboard. You can find it in a sales, in a marketing dashboard. So that's something that is always appearing. And you have the cards. So for the cards, these are type of visualizations that are like a typical square, but with values or numbers in it. Like for example, um, total number of students for 1 month. It would just be just a box with a number inside it, a number embedded inside the box. So it's a very simple visualization, but very powerful and very effective because it straightforwardly shows the most important number, the most important figure. So cards are very effective, and I always use that. So if you want to communicate the important information straightforwardly, especially those variables that are of a numerical format, then cards would be the way to go. So the visualizations that you saw earlier, those always contains those contain cards because I highlight those figures, so that it allows us to see how we are performing in a weekly basis or a monthly basis. We also have here a multi-row card. So this is a more complex type of cards that I'm not really, how should I say this? I'm not really fan of because it makes things complicated. So I'm more fan of this card, the simpler one, and I just make multiple numbers of it instead of using this multi-row card. You will see the difference. You will see the difference later. And then we have here KPI. So this is also one visualization that you would typically see. Um, so if you have a set of indicators that you're tracking and you want to see if you are still on track, you're still hitting your key performance indicators, then you need to use this visualization. So it would turn green, it turn red if you miss the target. If you hit the target, it would turn green. So that's something that is very useful. Instead of looking at the table, um, you can convey the information, the insight, easily when they look at this kind of thing instead of something inside the table that contains so many things. And this is a slicer. So a slicer is a filter, a filter that is interactive, something that you can put in your dashboard in your canvas instead of going through this section. But they typically do the same things. This filter section and also this slicer, they're doing the same thing. It's just to filter your data set. And you have here the table and your matrix. So basically, the good old things that you know. So if for some reason you need to add a table in your chart, there would be uh, some cases that you would be needing to do that. Then either you use a matrix or a table, and you can insert R scripts here. So there's a way for you to, for example, apply a Plotly visualization together with Power BI. You can do that, and also with Python. So since by now you know how to navigate with Python, you are familiar, and you have experience with Python, then it's easy for you to incorporate Python visuals here. So when you do that, you can just drag the the visualization in this Python script editor, and then it would allow you to add those Python visuals in in your canvas, in your Power BI canvas. So this portion right here is your Power BI canvas. Okay, this white screen. So you can change the size of that. I'll be going through that later once I finish this different visuals. But it's so flexible. Um, it's one good thing that they incorporated R and Python here, because these are the two software that are really being used in analytics. So we haven't gone through R, but both are online or object-oriented programming. So if you know Python, it would be very easy for you to transition to R and the other way around. So it's nice that they incorporated scripting here because it allows for more flexibility. It allows for more dynamic visualizations, and I like that. I like that they did not constrain their visualizations only from this option from get more visuals, but developers can actually create their own depending on their need using scripting. So that's a very good plus, a very good um, functionality that Microsoft engineers are um, included here. So you also have key influencers here. So Power BI can also analyze your data to identify, for example, what are the key factors in um, deciding which product would be bought. Like, could be the color, it could be the size. Like, for example, you have a merchandise of apparels, and you want to identify what are the deciding factors of the um, of your customers in buying like a shoe or buying shoes or shorts or dress. So you can do that. You can have Power BI analyze your data and look for those key influencers, which is a good thing, but I don't trust it. I mean, you can do your own analysis in a more sophisticated way, but if you lack the time and you just, like, for example, someone asks you from your dashboard, your visualization on what can you say about these factors, and you don't have the sufficient time to go over the data to do a much more complicated or sophisticated analysis, then you can use these key influencers to give them a bit of what could it be. But of course, there would be caveat in it. There would be some sort of reservations because you don't know the processes that Power BI used in order to come up with that analysis. But the good thing is you have the Copilot here, uh, which is I don't think yeah, it is for Power BI Premium, so you need to to purchase a subscription for it. So Copilot is an AI. I think this is the product of the investment of Microsoft to OpenAI. So this uses the same, I think the same uh, resources as with ChatGPT. So uh, you can think of it as basically similar to ChatGPT, but it doesn't. Uh, it's not available in the free version, unfortunately. Okay. But I think this one is we can use it, right? So I'm not sure if this could be used here, but this is something that I also use. Like for example, some couple of days ago, uh, I'm I'm trying to access this website, and I'm not sure why my laptop is blocking it. I tried using VPN, but it doesn't work. So I tried to look for solutions here, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find one. But after a couple of days, for some reason I was able to access it again. So this website is like the public bidding website of Czech Republic. So we're bidding a particular item in there. So I just asked Copilot for some ideas in how to do a workaround. But anyway, I haven't tried this. This is a new addition to the functionality of Power BI. A couple of months ago, you cannot find this. The last thing that you can find in here is the publish. So this is an addition, a new addition. So moving forward, so you have the composition tree. So we can think of it as more like of a decision tree. Um, I haven't used it before in this context, in a visualization context. More like a process flow kind of thing. Um, it's not good if you want to use it in terms of like distribution of one category over the other. It's not good because if that's what you want to do, then you have the funnel chart and also the donut chart and pie chart to do it for you. But I think this is more about process flow. So if you can remember it in Microsoft Excel, you have that option, right? You have the system process flow, the shapes that you can use in order to build that kind of document, and it's similar to this. But maybe there are other things that I'm not familiar about when it comes to the composition tree. But you will find this rarely used in visualizations. And you have the Q&A right here. Um, I'm not using this Q&A. Um, and I could not think of any specific instances that I've used it in the past. But maybe the reason that they included it here is maybe they uh, there's a specific instance that is being used. But unfortunately, um, I haven't really encountered that yet. And you have the narrative. This is a good thing if you want to add narration in your visualization. Then you can add this metrics and some paginated report cards. This is just the same thing as what you have at the top. I think the difference is more on the visual format side. If you look into the options for the old cards, there are less options as compared to this one. But basically, they are the same. There would be like a square figure that contains figures. So it's just a matter of how many formatting options you will have in this new one versus the old one. And similar with the slicer. Similar with the slicer. So I'll be showing you both. But I prefer using the old one for some reason. Again, I prefer more simplicity over a fancier one. So this is more straightforward. That's why I like it. And ArcGIS maps for Power BI. This is something that is very good. Very to look for if you're working with maps. So ArcGIS is one software that is typically used when you are um, analyzing spatiotemporal data, space and time. So this is very good that they incorporated it as well. So there's a package in R and even in Python specifically designed for spatiotemporal data, spatial space and temporal time. Even if spatial only or space only, there's a specific library packages in Python and R. But ArcGIS is specifically designed for that. So it's a good thing that you can incorporate it here. And Power Apps, so you can connect other apps for automation for Power BI. The one that I connected in the past was with Microsoft Fabric. What was that? Um, survey responses. Um, but there are other apps as well that you can do for automation. Then, yeah, Power Automate for Power BI. These two things are more for like the developer side of things. And that's all. That's a lot, I should say. There are other things here that you don't really need, like different orientation of the charts, but it's good that you have that variety. You may want to like have a variety of bar charts, column charts. But of course, they would just communicate the same insights, right? So it's just about your creativity again. So let's move on from that and proceed with the format. So with the format, your page. So this is where you would edit your visualization. You can make it fancier. You can change colors here. You can add or remove titles here. You can change the font size, the effects, all the different formatting that you need in order to make your dashboard appealing is here. Okay, so most of the time you'll be working on this tab of your visualization section because you would be like adjusting colors, adjusting the size of your canvas. For example, you can make it smaller if you would be putting it in like a one pager kind of thing, like a flyer. You can do that. You can also adjust it depending on what type of screen your dashboard would be presented. So if would be presented in a very large screen, then you might want to maximize it like this one. If it would be if it would be presented in a like in a mobile phone, then you can adjust it depending on the optimal size for one. So here is where you would adjust that. Okay, and also the alignment. So you can alignment in the middle and on the top. And canvas background, you can change that. So the earlier you see that it was pink, you can change that. You can adjust the transparency like that. Why is it changing the? Okay, so you can adjust the transparency right there. Of course, the more transparency percentage, the more the more how should I say that? The more subtle the color would be. So if you have like 90% transparency, then it's almost the color is indistinguishable. So it depends on depends on your target audience, the theme of your dashboard. For example, you are developing a dashboard for our organization that is um, supporting women's rights. So that would be something that would be pink. And this is just an idea. Of course, I'm not um, Yeah, it depends on your audience and the theme of your dashboard, the data set. If it's something that is like or related with water, then it would be something like blue or something like that. So again, you need to blend the color of the canvas and the color of the visualization to the type of data that you are presenting. Okay, so um, you need to remember that and you need to be aware of that. Then you can also add wallpapers here. You can add um, you can add your profile picture in there for some reason, or you can, for example, if you're prepared for a dashboard for children or a product related to that, you can add like SpongeBob's face in there and something like that. So you can make any image, a JPEG format or even a PNG format, and use it as a background, as a wallpaper. So you can do that. Okay. So filter pane can change the color. So if I like change it to orange, as you can see, it changes. Okay. So depends on your preference actually. So you can just explore on that. At least you know where to locate it, right? So the border, I can change the border into like red. So as you can see, change color here. And so many things that you can change in the filter section. Because when you publish this, um, the those that would view your dashboard, they can see this visualization and data tab. What they can see would be this filters option. That's why you have this specific section for the filters, uh, for this filter section, and allow you to adapt it with your dashboard because they would see this. But this data and visualizations tabs, they will not be able to see it once you publish your report or your dashboard. Can also change the color of that so that it would blend together with the report and so on. You can adjust the size of that, make it narrower and so on. So you also have the filter cards in here that would change the color of this. So some things that are again dependent on the theme of your dashboard. So you may not want to make it different from the theme of here because it would be odd and it would be something that is not appealing to the eyes. So enough of that. Of course, in the data here, we don't have any yet, but later on we'll connect, we'll import the data. But I want to highlight some things right here at the top. So here in the file, you would see the same landing page that we saw earlier when we opened the software. So this is the landing page. So the file window is the landing page, and you have the home right here that would open the the blank canvas earlier that we saw. So that would show when you go to the home. And in the home ribbon, you can find so many interesting buttons. So you have the get data here. So the one good thing with Power BI, it was built to accommodate so many data sources. So you can derive it from the good old Excel workbook. That is the number one here because it's the typical one. And then you have Power BI semantic models. You have data flows, data first, SQL servers, analysis services, text/CSV web. This is something that's very cool. Like you can generate the data from a web page. Let's talk about it when we discuss data importation later, or in some sessions. But it's a very cool functionality. So you have a web page that contains like a table of figures that you want to generate a visualization from. You can do that. You can scrape that data out of that web page and then do visualizations, create a dashboard out of that data set. So this zero data or O data feed, I'm not very familiar I haven't used it before, to be honest with you. And you also have a blank query from here, query from scratch. So the typical ones that I was using, again, Excel workbook, SQL Server, text CSV, and web. So you don't need to be familiar with all of this immediately at once. So once your company is working on a specific data source, then they would actually tell you what to do, because some of this they would ask for credentials, like like for example the one that I told you earlier about getting the data from your emails. It would ask for credentials. So um, companies, for example, they are keeping their data in specific storage. Well, usually SQL Server, SQL databases. There would be credentials that you need to get from them. But if you're doing consultancy work, most of the time it would be in the form of Excel workbook and CSV. So that would be the typical types that you would um, have your data. And then you have the Excel workbook here. As you can see, it has a dedicated button for Excel workbook because it's the typical one. You also have one lake data hub from your organization. We don't use it, and I haven't. I think this is yeah. To be honest with you, completely honest with you, this is something that I haven't tried before. Um, but maybe there are organizations that are specifically using this. I'm not sure. Maybe in your organization you're using this. So please let me know. Share your ideas and experiences working with One Lake Data Hub. But me personally, I don't have any working experience with One Lake Data Hub. SQL Server, yes, I do have. So this is one way. So you'll just have to put here this credentials, and then will be able to connect with your databases. And you can also enter your data. So there's an option for you here to manually input your data. But of course, this is just so much pain. I would rather do it in Excel because, as you can see, it has a limited functionality, right? It's very plain. So instead of it, inputting it here, then I would rather do it in Excel and then import it using this button. And there are recent sources right here that you can see. Um, there are databases that I tried before. Most of the time, CSV files, and then this is a what do you call this? Web. So we'll be going through this later on. Then you can do transform data. So this would open a Power Query editor. So Power Query editor is something that you've already used. If you remember it during the Microsoft Excel sessions, we have used Power Query editor. So it would just use the same uh, not really, well, not totally the same. There would be difference in like the GUI, but you would see the similarities. This is- because both are Microsoft products. The Power Query editor are almost the same, mostly in terms of functionalities. The difference would just be the user interface. And the new visual, of course, if you want to add a visual to your report, but you can just drag and drop. So that's why I said there are so many things right here that you don't usually use. Text box, if you want to add like in for some reason you want to add like a title or something, you can do it through the add text box. So and then let's see, more visuals. So this more visuals is similar to click this horizontal dots. So it would allow you to import more visualization options. And there are things here that are on gray and not clickable, like the new measure. The new measure, those are computed fields in Power BI. Um, Computed fields are objects that we can use in order to create more visualizations. Like for example, you have a column in your data set that is referring to sales, and you want to add average sales as a card in your visualization. So you need to have a measure corresponding to that. And that's where you would be using DAX. There's an option not to use DAX because average is a typical summary statistic. So there's an option for you, a quicker option. But that option uses the same code as with how you do it with DAX. So it's just a shortcut. So there are quick measures. This is the one that I'm referring to, like average, um, standard deviations, maximum, minimum, and so on. So we'll be able to cover all of that in the succeeding sessions. And then here, the sensitivity, hmm, sensitivity. Um, Let me think. Sensitivity. I'm not sure what this is for. Sensitivity. I haven't used it before. I'm not sure if this is something new, but I haven't used the sensitivity option before. It might be referring to something that I'm using outside this button. Um, but r- I can't remember anything related to this that I've used in the past. So it must be something designed for a specific task or reason. So we can of course we can search for that. Let me see. Sensitivity Power BI. Okay, so it's just for app sensitivity. So like when you are switching to mobile, you would see if the requirements um, if the requirements fit your visualization, if it would still function the same way when you switch to a different how do you call this, um, a different machine or something like that. Now moving forward, but it is something that um, you would use when I think you're working with multiple media. So moving forward, you go to the insert, so you can insert more page, which you can also do right here at the bottom. So you can, in one Power BI file, you can do more than one visualization. But as you create more, it would take more uh, requirements. So be careful. So if you're feeding this page one with so many data sets, and you will be feeding this page two with also similar size, then might as well do it in a separate file to avoid crashing or encountering so much issues with related to data size. And I forgot this one. This one is for mobile layout view. Um, Again, this is the assumption that your dashboard would be viewed in a mobile layout. So you have that option right there. But most of the time, I actually haven't worked on this format yet because most of my projects were in this mobile, not mobile but desktop format. And um, yeah, the thing that I want to share to you here is don't try to work so many or create so many dashboards, especially if you're working with a very large data set, because it would just be too computationally demanding. And here with the insert, there's so much here in the insert that you don't actually need because you have an option here in the visualization. Probably aside from this thing, aside from the elements, I don't usually use the other uh, section in this ribbon. If I go to insert, most of the time I use this. I'll be looking at the buttons to click, like left arrow, right arrow, if I have like a multi-page report, and then reset rather. They're all slicers, and even shapes. I also get this shapes right here in images. Like if you want to insert images in your dashboard for additional visual appeal, then this is how you do it. You go to this section. But some of the things here I haven't used this before in the Power Platform. But this one you have that option on the build visual, the visualizations tab, so you don't really need to go here. And also this one. You see again more visuals here that you saw earlier in the home button. So this insert right here appears multiple times, right? So even in this insert button. So again, it's a similar thing with Microsoft products. They just put so many things in multiple locations, same things in multiple locations. So you have the modeling here. So we'll be focusing. We'll have a dedicated session for the modeling. The good thing is you've already done this. Before we discussed writing codes in SQL, we've already gone through this. So this data model that you would see, this is similar to what we have discussed in SQL. Okay. Let me show you a specific. Hmm, you remember the Crowfoot's method, the cardinality of relationship between tables, all of those are similar here. So you would apply the similar principle, the one-to-many relationship, the many-to-many relationships. Can you remember that, guys? Can you remember those different types of relationships in a table? Before we discussed the coding, the actual coding in SQL, remember that we have a dedicated section for that. So the good thing is Power BI has a dedicated window in order for us to define our data model. So unfortunately, this only has one table, so this will be not that effective. Let me look for another. Yeah, you see, it's already, even with only two open reports, it's already taking toll on my computer. It's making it slow. Um, maybe this one. That's how computationally demanding Power BI is. And if we look at um, Task Manager, it would give us an idea on how much resources this process is eating, like 209. Oh no, it's already 1.6 gig. Look at that. It's already like a great chunk of my computational capacity. It's taking so much RAM. That's it. So my computer would not be able to handle a much more complicated data set because look at this. Only two applications or two reports open, and it's already lagging badly. That's one downside. That's one downside of Power BI. That's why when I have a project that requires me to handle massive data set, I would rather do that in Python, to be honest with you, because of this. It's just too too computationally demanding. It's already 94%. And I only have PowerPoint, Microsoft Store. Let's close that. It's only like less than a percent. So Edge, Microsoft Edge, I'm only using Teams. So um, just figure out. It's also eating so much of my RAM. But anyway, I think I highlighted that point right there. Um, hmm, can't find the correct example for this one. But with okay, I'll look for that specific file in a different out in a different time outside the meeting. But basically, the idea here is if you're working with multiple data sources, like one is coming from one different spreadsheet, another one coming from a different spreadsheet, but they are connected. They're connected in some way. They're connected by a key, okay, by a foreign key or a primary key. Then you can connect all of those files together and use them for your dashboard. Power BI would be able to automatically access those information and take advantage of the relationship between your data sets. So once it creates a report here, any changes, any filters that you apply would be automatically applied to the data set that you have. It would treat the data sets as as one complete big data set, a composition of multiple separated data sets. So the thing that you have to remember is the connection between the data set must be established, and that is typically through primary and foreign keys. So one primary key on a spreadsheet is a foreign key of the other, and the other way around, right? So in that way, we can take advantage of that connection, create a one big table out of it. At least that's what's going on under the hood, and we can take those information and make effective visualization. That's what we can do here. So it's not a requirement that you put everything in just one spreadsheet or in just one data source. Even one is coming from a database, and the other one is coming from a spreadsheet, and the other one is coming from a web page. If for some reason, in some way, they are related to a key or set of keys, then you can connect all of them and create one big data model, and then after that use those information contained in those tables to create visualization. That's a very powerful functionality of Power BI, because most of the time in companies you have different departments, and those different departments, they have their own databases, and you as the data analyst must be able to know how you can connect them, and you should have a tool, you should have a software that would allow you to do that in its own environment. Imagine if you be the one to connect them outside Power BI, that would be um, a lot of work. They were doing that way before, but with Power BI, there's something that they can do. There's something that there is something inside Power BI that they can use for that purpose, and that is very work efficient. So that's something that we will definitely do in the succeeding sessions. Develop and define a data model. We will be connecting. We'll be have that example of connecting these different spreadsheets, the different data tables together. And you have the DAX in here. So the DAX is a query. I will also have an example of how to write our syntax, our DAX syntax here. So just the basic ones, because again, if you want to run a complicated DAX, it's problem specific, it's context specific. But I just want you to know where to run it, how to run it, and give you a bit of experience doing it, so that if time comes that you need to write your own DAX, because you need to build complex measures and complex columns, then you have it here. you know how to navigate and you know how to input your 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 codes. So you know how to execute. So these are the three. Before, you cannot find the DAX here, the DAX curve view. I think 2 updates ago, the only tabs that you can see here would be these three. So they added the DAX curve view here. But you can also view that. If you go to transform data, it would also allow you to input DAX in there. And that's the typical way of how I know it. So this is how we do it. But of course, the DAX that you would do here would be of a similar thing as what we will be doing in this transform or through the Power Query editor. So yep. Now let's proceed to the view. So of course you can change the themes here. So there are different themes you can look for themes if you have like um how do you call that, um a developed theme that you sourced outside. You have a theme gallery option here. Once you click that, it would open a window that would open this gallery themes that you can find. And these are so many. Uh, there are so many options here that would actually make your life easier. So there are specific themes for specific purposes. Um, like for example, this one is for like analysis. This was shared by other Power BI users as well. So at least you have that theme, and it would make your dashboard creation very efficiently. Um, but I'm not fan of it. I like building it from scratch because um, well, I find it more. I find it to have more personal touch if I do it my way. But of course, I'm not restricting you to. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. That's just my personal take. But it's also nice that you collaborate with others, see how they did it. At least you have an idea, and um, make the dashboard creation more efficient. So you have that option once you click that. Get more themes. What else do we have here? Customize current theme. You can also do that, but yeah, I don't have um, I don't have the knack, I should say, about this because I want it to be um, as straightforward as possible. But if you are very particular with the theme, with the colors, if you want it to be fancy, then this is one way to go. You can maximize it here. I have seen so many awesome visualizations and dashboard, and I think they have invested so much time with it because even the minute details, those are customized. That's how you would see that they have invested so much time with it. So I just personally don't have that that push to be very critical with those minute details. You can adjust the page view here. You can do the mobile layout, the one that you can see at the bottom. You can click the grid lines, snap to grid, lock object so that you cannot mess it up. Um, cannot mess it up. I'm forgetting the word. Without you wanting it. Okay. So how, how do you call that term? I'm losing the word. Okay, so performance analyzer, sync slicers, and so on. So these things you don't actually need to to go through here and click them because you do have those options in your what do you call that, in your canvas window. So with performance analyzer, if you have like an automated animation, like showing how values change across time, then you can do that. See if there would be lags and so on. The selection option right here. Again, some of the things here I don't usually use. Bookmarks also, um, you can do that on the need. So you can find them here. Then optimize, apply all slicers buttons. Um, Here's the thing. Power BI is pretty much optimized already. So refreshing visuals is, I think, available in the home tab. Let me see. I think I've seen it somewhere here. When you create a page, there's an option here. I can't find it now, but I'm pretty sure that there's an option in this view. Maybe maybe it shows when you have a data set here. Let's see. Pretty sure there's a refresh visual here somewhere here. Um, I forgot where it is. Ah, there we go. This one. So there is this refresh button that you can actually use. So you don't necessarily need to go to that, to this optimized version, optimized tab. Pause visuals. So again, this is for the live ones. Optimized presets. Yeah. So there's an option right here to add to apply all slicers. But you can also do that with the typical slicer. So I'm not using this most of the time. In fact, I think it doesn't work in this. Let me see. Let's add a slicer here. Uh, Never mind this. I'll just um to add something here. Um, am I using it correctly? What it does is it should apply the slicer. All the categories here, but it seems like it's not doing it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's not on a format that can be applied immediately right here. So we will see how we can use that apply all slicers button. But basically, what it does is just apply all the like for example, if you have a slicer for marital status, it will just apply all of them. So you can do that even without clicking on this. It will just do the same thing. So I'm more into this because it gives you more flexibility in viewing your data set in different perspectives. Like for example, here I only want to see it in terms of those that are divorced. Those for some reason, the superstore grocery has that data about the um, personal information of its buyers, even if it's even about the marital status, which is weird. Then, like for example, divorce and married. So you can do that. So I don't think that there's a need for this one. So this is just better. So anyway, and then what do we have in here? We also have the help. You have the option guided learning, training videos, documentation support. Um, hmm. I haven't used this help yet because how should I say this? The things that you would see here are not targeted like for a specific thing. Um, it's more efficient to look for a specific problem online or a specific solution to a specific problem online as compared to going through all of this. It's not just efficient. So again, it depends on you, but there are available resources here if you want to deepen your knowledge more about Power BI. But personally, I haven't gone through any of this. Then you have the format here, drill down filters and interactions, alignment, align left, align right. Things that you can actually do even if you don't use this tab. You can actually do that here. Like for example, we aligned it to the left earlier. It's better to just drag the object instead of using that. So at least you can place it in a certain location relative to other objects in your dashboard. So what else? Drill, drill through. I think there's an option right here for that. So I don't usually go through this one. So those are the things that you can find if you go to these tabs. And again, most of the time you will be using home and transform data. So later on we'll see, or maybe in the next session we'll see transform data, the Power Query editor. We'll burn the next session um, talking about the transform data tab because most of the time you'll be in there manipulating your data uh, um, for your data set to be in a specific format so that you can add it to your dashboard. But for now, let me go through this left section right here. So in the table view, you can have this window that is similar to Microsoft Excel. You'll have a table of your data set, so you can see here the observations that you have. Um, well, you can also edit your values here. Can I or just the format? I think with the Power Query editor you can change. Here you cannot. So you can just change the format right here, but you cannot change the values. The reason for that is there's a protection mechanism. So with Power Query editor, there's a applied step, if you can remember. There are applied steps. There's a specific section for the applied steps so that you can easily undo. You can easily track what things are done with your data set. So if there's something happened that you want to there's something happened that you want to redo or to undo, you can easily go back to that and just undo it. At least you have a full knowledge of what are the things that are done with your data set, uh, s- and it gives so much confidence, so much confidence that you are on point with your data. So this is good because you can change the format here. Like for example, this recency currently is on like a text format, and we know that recency, well, suppose that it is supposed to be a number, so you can just change the format right here, but for some reason it's just only on text. I wonder why. It could be that, yeah, there it is. It could be a whole number. And yeah, but basically what I want to say here is this is the location where you can change the format. You can also do that in the transform data tab, which we will see in the next section session. But yeah, here you can also do that and add new columns. So for example, we need a column for profit. We can do that here, but we'll just need to apply a computation, right? We need to have those information to solve for profit, and so on. And some data tools right here, new measure. So measures are computed fields. Basically, measures are like, for example, average per category. So if you have a category for marital status, for example, and you want to add, say, what would be the average when the marital status is together, what is the average when it is divorced, so you can do that, right? Suppose that the marital status is, say, suppose that the category is the marital status. So if you can remember the group by that we did with Python, and the power with pivot table that we did with Excel, it's similar to this. You can apply the computation per level of the category. It's a good thing. Sometimes well, oftentimes people want to see that. But is it something required? The answer is no, because you can add the slicer here in terms of marital status, and it would change depending on the category. So the computations that you have, the summary measures that you will present in here would now be sliced in terms of that category. But sometimes you don't want to add a slicer like this, and you want to present the specific value per level, then you can do that. Maybe you can immediately present it here without a slicer, so that's also a possibility. We'll also consider that, so you can do it right there, um, using quick measure. What other else we can do? We can filter values. We can create different time periods. We can do that here. Running totals, the similar thing that we do with SQL, and your typical mathematical operations, right? That's what you can do. Some of the things that you can do, but you can also do a measure that is completely customized based on your need, like a measure that would generate the actual average for the entirety of the column without any consideration of the levels. You can do that. Let me show it to you. Again, it's lagging now. Um, as you can see, it's running very slowly. Let's wait for it. So when you click this measure, you can actually edit that. Um, don't worry, we'll have a more focused discussion about this. I just want to give you an overview. And unfortunately, it's running so slowly. I have to close the other tab, I think, so that it would. Yeah, I think it won't allow me for some reason. Okay, where was that? Where was that measure? I can create a new one. It was not saved. So when you click that measure button, you will have this somewhat formula tab in Excel. Then say, for example, I want income, average income. So that would be just average of my um where is that income. So as you can see, there's similarity with how you write the codes in Excel and also with Power BI DAX. So the difference is that with Power BI you have, well, this is also a common thing with Excel. You have multiple uh, sources or sources of data tables that you can source the column from. So that's the main difference there. And also, as you can see, it's referring to the table using a similar format that we see with Python. So this is the table, and then we are slicing the column. So not totally the same, but there's a similarity, right? In Excel, we only use AVG. With Power BI DAX, we're using the actual complete complete case average. So this would give us a single value that when we go to our report, we can create a card out of it. We can create a visualization that would show the actual value. Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, I think I did with that part. Maybe here because I want to add a new one and not overwrite any existing. I can drag it there. So as you can see, it shows a value. So this is how it looks like without any formatting, any anything that you add to make it more fancy. So it's like the base form. So in order for you to make it like this, you need to add you need to apply more formatting. So you need to invest more effort and maybe look for images that would enhance the appeal of the cards. So that's how you use the measures. Those are computed fields. So it's completely different from computed columns. The computed columns will be an actual column in your data set, but it is derived from the existing columns. So it's like an computing for profit given your profit per unit and the amount or the unit sold. So we'll be doing that. Don't worry. We'll have an example for that. So yep, that's what you would see with the table view. And the data model is something that we've already introduced earlier, but unfortunately, this data set contains only one table. But I'll make sure that we'll be having that experience working with connecting tables um, using multiple sheets. And that's it. I think with this introduction, it's not an alien thing to you now, but we will be starting with data importation next meeting. We'll be importing a data from Excel workbook and from the web, so that you can practice, or even during labs, John. You can start introducing them, uh, the data importation. So by the meeting on lecture session on Wednesday, they're already familiar. They can follow the discussion pretty quickly. Okay, so make use of the lab to navigate more, to become more familiar with the buttons. Even until now, personally, there's so many buttons that I tend to forget where the location of a specific button is. Like for example, when I go to the format your report page, if I want to change like the font size of the title, I kept on forgetting where is it located. Even until now, I've been using Power BI for some time now, but since there are so many options, I tend to mix things up. So it's still it's better that you gain that experience, that familiarity, so that even if it's confusing, it would still be easier for you as compared to having less familiarity. Okay. So yep. So that's it. It's always better, guys. Especially if you're really into the route of being a data analyst, Power BI is indispensable. You cannot call yourself a data analyst if you don't know how to use either Power BI or Tableau. Unless you're really very good with Python or R, that is when you can just ditch Power BI. But it's very difficult. It's very time consuming to hard code all of this. And if you want to be seamless with the other processes of the company, then you'd be left with no choice but to learn Power BI. So that's it. I hope this introduction this introductory session gives you like an overview of the things that you can find when you first open Power BI. So I'll be meeting you again on Wednesday for a much deeper discussion of Power Query Editor, and hopefully by Saturday, if we can finish all of the Power Query Editor stuffs by Saturday, we'll be able to start creating our dashboard, getting familiar with the formatting stuffs, and I'm thinking on maybe on Tuesday I'll be assigning your data set in which you need to create a narrative, a dashboard, and a narration. Because you need to present it to me and John. You need to present to me so that we can give you tips. We can give you suggestions in how you can make it more effective if it needs more if it needs more uh, enhancement. So that's how we'll proceed with the next few meetings. Okay. So any questions, guys? You're pretty quiet, and I understand why, because I've been speaking continuously for the past 2 hours. But hopefully you were able to follow, and please again use the time during the labs. Take advantage of it to ask questions with John. And yeah, our main goal here is to provide you with all the things that you need with Power BI. So thank you, and see you again on Wednesday. Bye bye. Have a great. It's already night at short time, so have a good night. Bye bye.
Thank you. Hey Jeff, I have a question.
Yep. Sure.
There was a lot of news about flooding over there in
Oh
northern
wow.
areas.
Yeah.
You and your
Past
family
week.
are okay?
Yeah. There were locations here in the Philippines, guys, where only the roof was not subsided with flood.
Oh my god.
It was crazy. But fortunately, my location, the only flooded area was the highway, the streets. But my house wasn't really affected at all. I think even John, not you're not that much affected, right? Fortunately.
Oh good.
And
But it
yes,
was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy, Grace.
Yeah, the videos were crazy. It was like it wasn't even a street anymore. It was just a river or something. But then they
Yeah,
were like taking these floats and just going down. And I
yeah.
said,
There
that
were
is
there
so
were
Filipino right there.
yeah, there were dead people because of electrocution.
Oh
So
my
the
god.
the the the, the flood
Electrocution.
waters, it was so deep, it reached the power lines. There were so many people that got electrocuted. There were people drowned. So it's been going on every year. But we have noticed that it's getting worse
Yeah,
every year because of
for sure.
probably the effect of climate change. And there are, I think, more typhoons coming in. It's just the start. It's just the start. So um yeah, hopefully things would
Yeah,
be
that's stressful though. Even if it's just not your household, it's stressful. So,
yeah, because
oh,
it's
so for you guys.
it's difficult,
Yeah.
right? Because you see in the news there are so many people affected. Imagine investing the Filipino people invested so much in their houses. Even if you look at it like maybe it's your perspective, it's just a plain house, maybe not even reaching the standards the standards of Americans, they've invested so much to it, and all of a sudden, like just that day, it will be swept by
Yeah.
floods. Imagine the pain. Imagine the pain. They have to start all over again from zero, from ground level. So that's very difficult and heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. So it's a challenge. It's really a challenge because I think this would be a pretty normal occurrence. The extreme would be the new normal, I should say.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so we should. I think we should be thankful that with whatever I should say blessings that we have. So anyway, yeah, it was crazy and unfortunate. So anyway, Grace and the group, um, I hope that this section with Power BI would be like a rest for you, as compared to the statistics part. But I love more statistics. I wish I could invest more time with it because it's more, I should say, specialized. People would be more interested if you are more adept with it. But with Power BI, if you're more creative, then you can wow your audience. So it's almost the same thing. So more people would actually can connect with you with this. So with that, again, thank you very much, guys, and hopefully you did not hate me with the exam. I was I was afraid that you would you would hate me. Um, but at least you had the taste of the challenge of being an analyst. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. So maybe before we proceed to the lab session, because I just have some announcements, but the actual lab session or practices will be done for tomorrow about the Power BI. Like we just have some announcements for today and some additional insights about the introduction of the Power BI. Before we proceed, let's have 15-minute break and then we'll proceed. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Sorry to keep you waiting. Hello, can you hear me, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. So the last time I have checked the SQL scores, I have checked the SQL scores, and based on the SQL scores, I'm not sure if you have already seen it. Have you seen it? Can you check on the canvas? Wait, wait, wait.
Wait, are you talking to? I wasn't able to hear.
Can you check on the canvas your scores on the SQL exam?
I mean, I saw I saw the score. I saw my score. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear it. How about you, Grace?
I saw the email that it's been scored, but I haven't checked it yet. Should I check it? I'm nervous. Okay, I see it.
Wait. So that are your scores for the sequel. So I'm also checking the Python exam, and I think it is all of you passed on that. I'm just considering what are the considerations or what suggestions can I give to further improve your activities. I also asked Sir Jeff to look for your exams for Python before we give you the scores. But on Python, to spoil you, all of you already passed on the Python exam. So the only remaining exam that is being unchecked is the statistics exam. So the statistics exam. And maybe I will start checking it later or tomorrow afternoon after our class. And yep, that's expect your scores within this week. Expect your scores within this week. By the way, how was the Power BI class, everyone? Power BI introduction with Sir Jeff.
It was fine.
That's fine. I guess it is a lot lighter compared to the statistics. Do you agree on that?
Yeah, there was a lot of like self-explanatory, I would say.
So yes, Power BI is self-explanatory. I believe you can learn Power BI just by watching some videos online. Me myself, I practice Power BI in that way, but it's different if you will apply that on the data. So maybe tomorrow session will be for that part wherein we will apply Power BI in the data, because I believe we can master the navigation in Power BI if we will apply that in the actual data. So that will be our plan for tomorrow. But for now, um, try accessing again your mode accounts, because we will get the data from there. We will extract a CSV file from the mode.com, and we will use that data to be uploaded on the Power BI tomorrow. That will be our agenda. And let's try to explore there's some visualizations, and you will see that it is very easy. The challenge for the Power BI is how can we exhaust all of the 3 hours in practicing Power BI. That's the challenge in Power BI class. I'm also challenged in thinking of what are the lab activities that I can give to you during those times. Unlike the statistics, we can go for months and months, and the activities in statistics are still there. But in Power BI, it's a different case. This is the easiest class next to Excel. By the way, do you have any other concerns on your scores? You can check those scores. You can counter check it. I have included some suggestions of what are the errors that I saw on your codes. And if you have some defense on that, let's say you have some violent reactions on the comments, you can directly message me and we can talk about it. By the way, are all of you using a Windows device? Grace, Hasiba, and
Yes.
Jeff? Okay, there's no problem on installing the Power BI if you are using Windows device. But if you are using Mac, it is a problem because I think Power BI is not available on Mac. You need to find a workaround to install Power BI on Mac, or worst case scenario, you need to borrow a device from a friend, from your friend, in order to perform the Power BI. So those are the only things that uh, are in our concern. Like, I'm just checking whether are all of you already installed the Power BI, if all of you have the device capable of running the Power BI, and if you have any questions on the scores that you have received previously on the SQL. You can still analyze it, the scores on the SQL, and if you have some recommendations on or violent actions on that, we can talk about it. You can message me personally. For the Python and the statistics exam, expect their scores this week. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? The questions or clarifications?
I'm nervous about the statistic exam.
If the class get like, let's say, low scores, like all of you got low scores on the, I'm not saying that you will get low scores, but in case that all of you get, let's say, low scores, Sir Jeff will adjust it. He will consider it. I talked with Sir Jeff, and somehow he is also worried that he might provided a difficult exam for your group.
Yeah.
So we will talk about it if all of you get like a very low scores. But I have high hopes on your group. Let's say somehow you run the statistical test, even if it's wrong, even if there are some missing steps. But I think your group has a good idea, like of the processes that we have performed previously. So I will try to return the scores in statistics as soon as possible, so that if you pass the exam, you will enjoy the rest of the days in our class. And like the time is so fast. We only have almost 2 weeks of meetings left. So let's enjoy it. Let's have a lot of memories on it. And yep,
I'm not worried about my Python exam, but the statistics, like,
in the
it's still,
statistics,
yeah,
it's a
I'm feeling like, oh, I did.
yes on the Python since the Python is more on descriptive statistics. All of you, I think, already passed, but I'm still thinking what is the score that is appropriate for each of you. That's why I am considering comments from Sir Jeff. Okay,
Mhm.
but rest assured, you already passed the Python exam. Maybe your scores will be 90 and above, 85 and above. Same range as SQL exam. You aced the Python exam, like also the justification why did you use that specific treatment for the missing values. That's good move. That's a good move. The only thing that you need to think of is the statistics exam. I know you give your best. I know you do anything that you can do. And we saw that perseverance. We saw that efforts in your and because of that I have high hopes that you will pass the exam. So for now, relax a little bit. I'm sure you will pass the exam. Any questions, guys? Any questions or clarifications? If none, we can end the meeting earlier and let's start tomorrow.
Oh, we're not doing any Power BI right now.
Yes. We will start Power BI tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
So I have a question. I installed the Power BI, but some of
Okay.
the options are not working. When I try to add something, it asks me about to enter my email address to
Oh,
sign in.
like sign
But
in.
when I try to sign in, it says you have to have a
Okay.
work address.
In Power BI, you don't need to sign in. You don't need to sign in. You can use it without an account.
But
So
some
if
of the option is not working.
maybe because it's you don't have a data set yet uploaded on the
Okay.
Power BI.
Okay.
Let me open my Power BI also. Like after you click the blank report,
Phew, excuse me.
it's okay. After you
I
click
see.
the blank report, it looks like this. Like not all of the options are clickable, and it's because you don't have a data yet. So we will upload that data starting tomorrow. We will use a data from mode.com. Okay, so we'll fix
Okay.
that. We will fix that. Any other concerns? Yep.
No, just
Okay. Thank you, Hasiba.
for me,
How
just
about you,
this.
Grace?
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. So if there's no concern, we can end the meeting now. Thank you, everyone, and see you tomorrow on our session for the Power BI.
Thank you, John. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.